Okay, so this is a very random video that probably doesn't really fit a lot of people's preferences. This is kind of just my own project because I want to organize things, and I decided, well, why not make it a video as well? Just kind of share my thoughts behind everything soldier related, stadium, obviously. Um Obviously, with any tier list, you need to realize, well, this is personal preference, right? It's not like a holy grail. You don't need to follow everything. And specifically in Stadium, there's really no point in trying to quantify things on like S tier, A, B, C, D, or E, because there's so many circumstances and it's such a dynamic game mode where everything can kind of work, right? That being said, obviously there are some things, which is why I categorize the tiers in the way that I did, where the strongest one would be, a power that you can just kind of place in any build, and it's gonna work. You're not gonna feel like, oh, I should have picked something else. You're not gonna feel like, oh, this power is doing absolutely nothing for me. Uh, right under that, we have powers that are strong, and you can pick them, and it doesn't really limit you to any build. And you're gonna be thinking like, okay, so what's the difference between the highest tier that is generally works everywhere in any build and strong and non-build limiting? The thing is, this second tier kind of depends on other powers or other items. So even though it doesn't really limit you to one sort of like specific playstyle, you do still feel the power from it by building around it, obviously, right? Or building some sort of interaction based on that power. So that's why they're like separate tiers, because the top one doesn't really need any specific interaction for it to provide like actual meaningful usage. And then we have also strong, but then it limits you to one specific playstyle, one specific build, one specific like chain of powers after it. Obviously, there's not much explanation there. There's some powers that are just quality of life upgrades. It's like, they're good, but it's not like they're giving you a massive power that you can just very easily tell. It's kind of just a nice little thing to have in the background. And then there are the other ones that are just completely niche, right? So it's like not necessarily strong, and also it definitely 100% locks you into one specific thing. So starting off, we have back off, right? This is the power where your biotic field actually starts doing damage. There's no contest there. It's super niche, right? You need to run AP. You need to run basically every single biotic field item. You also need to, whenever you're actually building around this, you need on me as well, so you can just run into people and damage them. Otherwise, you're making a static zone on the ground that does damage. That's not going to do anything. It's also not strong enough to the point where, because it's like 100%, maybe when Tracer comes around, and even then that's going to be like a big maybe. If a Genji dives you and you somehow have this power, you know what? Fine, it's okay. But it's still a very like it's a very high condition to be met for it to actually provide anything useful. That being said, I think the build is funny and the build can be good. If you're against the right team comp, if you build around this with the AP, you are going to be really annoying. And we have Chaingun. This is very strong. You keep shooting things, and the more you shoot, you do more damage. Very, very simple. Obviously very strong because Soldier is one of those characters where your main power is kind of just your gun. It's not like you have an ability. I mean, the Helix, obviously, right? But you're not going to be like, oh, I can only do something when my Helix is up. Especially in Stadium, where you can just build attack speed. Attack speed works really well with Chaingun because you can get to that threshold like much faster. Ammo also works really well because that makes the threshold higher. Like the more ammo, the more you can shoot, the more damage that you can stack, right? It's very simple. Or even if you build pure damage, just adding more damage on top of the pure damage, that's always going to be good. So there's at least 3 paths that you can pick this power on. And you know, obviously if you go AP, that's like a little bit weird, right? Because this is a gun power. Why would you go AP when you pick a gun power? You know. We have Biotic Bullseye. This is one of that's which one is it? I think it's the one where you place a biotic field down, and if you're in the biotic field and you keep shooting and you hit headshots, you get ammo back, and you also extend the duration of biotic field. So this is not niche, by the way, because it's generally quite good. It's very hard to put it on a no massive buffs zone, but I think the average player is not going to get that much value out of it. The thing is, if you're ignoring the damage part of your build, right? If you're going for attack speed and ammo, this absolutely spikes up in value, right? You keep shooting, you get essentially infinite ammo as long as you're hitting something. This is especially good against like a diva after the matrix is down, something that you can very easily shoot at from a safe distance, because you're gonna be permanently shooting that character like 20 bullets per second. You know, it's good. But outside of that one specific scenario or that one specific build, it's just a quality of life upgrade, right? You just place your biotic field down, it gets longer. So essentially the cooldown is shorter because the biotic field is longer, obviously. And you get ammo back. You know, that doesn't do that much. It's still good. It feels nice to have. It's gonna definitely, if you keep using it for long enough, you're gonna be like, oh wow, that power actually did something in this specific game or this specific round or against this specific character. But you know, that's not gonna happen every time. And keep in mind that it scales like based on percentages. So if you build biotic field duration, then you're gonna increase it. And then if you build max ammo, obviously like 10% of 70 is more than 10% of 30, right? Double Helix, this is amazing, right? And while we're at it, I'll put it here. And you're gonna be like, okay, what's the difference between these two? Double Helix is just you shoot another Helix that has like basically aimbot on it, and this one increases the damage and the explosion radius. So why are they in such different places? Well, this one, Double Helix. If you've seen my other video, you can make Double Helix work by proccing and abusing the spawn of biotic fields, right? Not to mention, so okay, before I go into that, yeah, you can abuse the spawn of biotic fields. That means that you can proc on me again, which resets your 20% HP that this one gives you. You can reset Frontliners, which means that you give, again, overhealth that stacks with the previous overhealth. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do. Not to mention, if you go AP, well, you have another Helix, so that's good. But you don't need to go AP with this, right? So that's why it doesn't really limit you. Not in the way that this Cratered one does. And you can also go hybrid. And if, you know, if you're going a hybrid, then you have a little bit of AP and a little bit of gun power. So obviously, since you have AP, having another rocket is good. And you know, if you're going Visor build as well, I'm thinking like you right click and then you have a Visor. I mean, why not just add like another Helix to that Visor spam, right? There's so many ways that you can make this work, and it can essentially fit anywhere. It's kind of insane. Because if you think about it, these two kind of give the same value, and you know, you think, oh, if I'm shooting another Helix, I want to buff up my Helixes. Except you don't really have to, right? So for those reasons, they're separate in separate tiers. Frontliners is strong and non-build limiting. You know, I already gave you the reasons why. Giving overhealth not only to yourself and to your team can be really good. If you're frontlining with your Reinhardt behind a shield from safety, and you can just keep spamming Helixes, or maybe you're staying in the backline with your Ana, or someone that actually stands in the backline with you, you can give them overhealth, you can help them against dives, you can help yourself against dives, you can... It's really good. And you know, you always have a biotic field. You don't necessarily need to go any build for this to actually be useful. Hunker Down is pretty strong, but it forces you to run one of those combinations that I previously mentioned, which is like you either hunker down with Frontliners, you can hunker down with double Helix and Frontliners, you can hunker down with On Me, so you spawn a biotic field whenever you want, and then you can run because the static field, the biotic field is not going to be static; it's going to follow you. It's good. It can also work if you're going like the AP damage biotic field. Where there's multiple ways that you can make it work, right? But if you pick it, obviously you are limited to building something around it, right? You need to follow something up that provides value to the biotic field, otherwise it's completely useless. You don't want to just be able to make another version of your basic ability if your basic ability is not empowered. Yeah, if that makes sense. Another thing that I'm sorry, because I'm doing this live, I don't have a script. I'm kind of rambling out like instantly. Like I think about a way that an interaction can work, and I'm gonna say it in the moment. This is not planned. I'm thinking if you hunker down and Biotic Bullseye, you can essentially keep a biotic field permanently up as well. And then you can build off that. There's a lot of snowball potential, right? So you'll notice that there's a lot more synergies and interactions than it might seem at the start. Man on the Run, it's just a very basic quality of life upgrade. You can run and you can like help yourself, and at the same time that you're helping yourself, you're regaining ammo, and you're also opening up possibilities for you to build based on ammo and attack speed builds, right? Because it increases your max ammo as well. So if you're just going like 100 bullets to counter a diva, for example, that's gonna be good. On Me, amazing. It's just the reason why it's not just a quality of life upgrade, because you're thinking, oh, well, it just moves with you, right? It also gives you increased max health, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes you significantly more tanky, right? And if you're playing around walls, especially like, let's imagine a scenario in Clash in Anahoka, where you're fighting an enemy Cassidy on the left side, kind of isolated from the rest of the team fight. You can play around the walls, you press E, and you suddenly get 20% max health, not to mention the regen that, you know, a biotic field gives you. Even more if you have like some sort of AP. Like, it's really good. There's never going to be a scenario where you're going to be like, wow, this thing is so bad. Or where you're going to be like, wow, I wish this was stronger, because you see the immediate value. You can just press E, run away, you're not forced to stay in any zone, and you can also heal your teammates, obviously. Peripheral Pulse is strong, you know, but you're forced to go Visor. If you pick this without Supervisor, I mean, it's kind of weird. You know, it just makes you, when you're I keep forgetting to say what the abilities do or the powers do. That just makes you so whenever you're on Visor, you can shoot at 2 enemies, except the second enemy takes less damage. It's okay. If you're spamming Supervisor, yeah, it's good. You can hit multiple people. But if you just pick it and you're like, oh yeah, that means every time I pop my ult, I get value. Well, you're gonna pop your ult maybe once per round. Do you really want to build a power that gives you 50% reduced damage for 8 seconds per round? If you can even use it properly, because imagine to have a diva and it's like, okay, well, your entire ult is gone, so you can't even shoot at 2 people. It's okay. I would even put it lower down on quality of life upgrade. and then it becomes strong if you pair it with the Visor build. Yeah, let's place it like that. And well, now since we're talking about a Visor build, this is good. It's not really build limiting because you're not forced to go weapon damage. You can still go hybrid. You can mix like Helix Rocket Visor with double Helix. You can kind of go hybrid and you just burst people down with AP double rocket, and then you have aimbot to finish them off. That's good. That's like one of the most I don't want to say overused because it's definitely not overused, but it's one of those builds where, you know, after Stadium released, people were like, "Oh yeah, this might be the build. Is you combine two things. This is really good," and it is. It feels nice to use. Track and field, yeah, very niche. Kind of, you only ever want to use it when you're going biotic field build AP. Maybe potential if you want to go just a full quality of life upgrade build, I guess, with track and field, man on the run, and on me, where you just keep running, your biotic field follows you, and then you can keep extending that biotic field because you keep getting ammo and you keep getting, you know, but there's not a lot of possibilities. Maybe I'll do a video on that one time. Maybe soon. Who knows? But yeah, that's it. I think. Sorry if this is like a really random, stupid video. I do think it's important to talk about, you know, this. Soldier is one of those characters where most people look at him and it's like, oh, well, he's boring. He's just a Call of Duty simulator, right? You run, you heal, you shoot something, and then you use a rifle. Well, there's nothing special about that. Even his ultimate is kind of like, quote unquote, boring because it's just aimbot. It's one of the worst ults in the game, but it's aimbot. It's a noob stomper, right? And I think people need to understand that Soldier is specifically in Stadium is not that streamlined. It's not that like, oh, you can only do this one thing and you can do it over and over and over again. Obviously, there's not as much variety as like a Moira, for example. Moira is incredible. I think Winston is also incredible in terms of builds. I'm thinking other things. Nothing really comes to mind. Those are the most two characters that I think, wow, you can really build stuff there. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this random yap session. Thank you for watching.